everyone, and welcome to my channel. On episode 3 of the Micah Miles Podcast, I have XP72 join me. XP72 is a leader with one of the best flight sim YouTube channels on the platform. During this episode, we go over his passion for flight simulation and the progression of his YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you?
Wow. My real name is Norman, by the way. But everybody now calls me XP, and it's actually crazy. And a funny story is, a long time ago, I signed up, had a Chick-fil-A account, and they wanted a name, and I was like, I'm not going to give them my real name. So I put XP7. But I try to put XP72, I put XP7. So every time I go to Chick-fil-A, I'll get an order done. They look at me, goes, XP? I'm like, yeah, that's me. It's true story.
Hilarious.
It's hilarious. Yeah, try it sometimes. Put your nickname on your Chick-fil-A account, and when they call you by your nickname or your pet name, it's hilarious every single time. I like that.
XP,
But
that gets your attention.
yes, it does. It actually gets your attention. But a little bit about myself. I'm a YouTube streamer. I do live streams on YouTube, and been doing it for about 6 years now, approximately, and still going. I actually still enjoy it. Even when I'm tired and I'm coming home, I do have a full-time job. But even when I'm tired coming home from work, I think once I load up and I start that intro music that I got there, it changes everything. It changes my mood, and I get into it.
100%.
And the audience started pouring in, and you guys started coming into chat.
Yep.
Makes a whole difference. It really does make a whole difference for flying online and streaming.
Yeah.
So that is my stream life. I stream 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I look forward to all of it, to be honest. I'm still excited about flight simming after all these years, believe it or not. I'm still excited about it.
For sure, with like all the releases, and especially now the 777, right? That was a big wow, let's go, a new aircraft. Like, we've been waiting for a new aircraft, especially here in Microsoft. But of course, XP72, you also fly on xplane, right? So you get all the benefits over on xplane. That's a great simulator for sure. Great aircraft over on xplane, so you really have all of the variety. But for people like me who are just dedicated to one sim, in this case Microsoft Flight Sim, we've been flying the Phoenix, Airbus A320, PMDG, and other aircraft as well. Not just those two, but those are the main two that a lot of people like to talk about, right? Because in their eyes, and yeah, it's up for debate, right? But I would say those are the best 2 aircraft in the game, or simulator. And then, of course, you got the AnyBuilds 300, which I don't know if you like that aircraft or not. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but a lot of people are, so you got to kind of go with the flow sometimes. And then now the 777 by PMDG simulations. I mean, that was a huge release. So, for sure, I completely get what you're saying, by the way, with the intro music. It really gets the spark going. It's really like, you can't describe it too well. It just gets the spark going, the energy up, and it's almost motivation to just continue to push through the stream. Not in a negative way at all, it's just so much fun, and we love that. So, there you go. Great introduction for those who don't know XP. He is a super good streamer on YouTube. He also does a bunch of really good stuff on his YouTube, like post videos as well. You got really good videos over there, super helpful videos. Matter of fact, XP, I remember this about, I would say, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I watched your how to get into vatsim video, and you were a huge help. So that was a super, super nice video. And I don't know if you remember publishing that video, but I do remember watching that from you. I think it was on xplane, and that was a great video.
Yeah, that video came about because by this time a lot of people started to fly with me online, and I would hear the struggles they have talking to ATC, and also I had a lot of questions of people saying, hey man, how should I get started in vatsim? I don't know where to start, I'm nervous. And I remember when I just started, like, I sat there, logged onto vatsim, sat on the ramp, listened to all the radio traffic, and didn't say anything. I sat there for like an hour, like, okay, when do I jump in? When do I talk? I'm not sure. I'm going to get yelled at and all that good stuff. And believe it or not, in the back end, vatsim reached out to me and go, hey man, you have all these people flying with you. Can you like do something and tell them like how to behave on vatsim? We love giving you ATC, right, but you need to have your audience learn how to do it properly so it makes everybody's life easier and more fun. I was like, you know what? Sure. Let me do what I got to do. And so that's why when I came up with a tutorial, just to say, hey, this is how you get started. This is the things you don't skip over, and then go from there. So I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad it helped you out. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Super, super helpful. And you've done your job for sure. You did a great job on your behalf for sure. Alrighty, let's go into the first topic. So my podcast works in topics, so we'll go through topic 1, topic 2, and topic 3, and we'll get to those topics as we go, of course. But topic number 1 is going to be journey to becoming one of the best flight sim content creators. I truly think that, and I'll stand by that any day of the week, because you sure are. At what age did you have interest in flight simulation? So we're going back to very we're going back to day one essentially. So at what age did you have motivation in flight simulation?
Wow, here's a shocker for you. I am the 51 years old now, or 52, something like that. I don't remember anymore. I stopped counting, right?
Yeah.
And as I said, 6 years ago is when I first learned about flight simulation. Now, I've played like Ace Combat 5 and, kind of like shooter games like that, video game, but proper flight sim, I'm going to call it proper flight sim, where you get into an aircraft and you try your best to mimic what real world pilots do, right?
Yes.
This only happened recently. And the way it happened is I was skimming through YouTube one day. I was at home and I saw a video of a military pilot flying an A-10 Warthog. And it's like, wow, how is the military allowing these guys to fly an A-10 and record it on video? This is cool. He was flying with a partner.
Yeah.
He did a couple of rolls and stuff. I was like, man, this is cool. And I looked it up and realized it wasn't real. It was actually a video game. It was actually DCS. I know. I was shocked. I was like, what? They do this in a simulator? And I looked up simulators and I came across Microsoft Flights at that time, FSX. But at the time, I only had Mac PCs. I never had I only had a Mac, and FSX cannot be run on a Mac. It's a Windows only. So I realized I searched for one for Mac, and XPlane was the option that popped up for me. So that was my first flight simulator. Was XPlane 9.
Wow.
That's it. That's how I got into simulation. I did always wanted to be a pilot. It never worked out. I went to a totally different career path, which I've been in for quite a number of years. So that's how I got into it. It's not something that I thought about wanting to do when I was younger, to be honest. So, and that's how I got into flight sim. It's by looking at a YouTube video of some guy flying DCS, thinking it was real. I was like, I have to do this. So that's how it came about. It wasn't something earlier in life. It was later on in life for me.
Right. It's crazy how you just essentially at the time you had no knowledge, right? You didn't know about aviation in general, not just flight simulation. Did you have any knowledge about aviation at the time?
Well, I did, yeah.
Okay.
I did work for 2 airlines, by the way. I was a flight attendant for 2 different airlines.
Wow. I didn't know
That's
cool.
the last one was United Airlines.
Okay, there you go.
I was a flight attendant for United up until 2001. When I got furloughed for a year, they did call me back. I never went back because I started my new career. And before that, I worked for a charter airline called Tower Air. They were based out of JFK.
Yes.
And we did mostly charters to all over the world, man. Traveling was crazy with that airline. But we did some scheduled flights to San Juan, to San Francisco, to LA, to Tel Aviv, Israel, and those were fun too.
Yeah.
And all we had were 747s. We had 747-200s. So
fire.
Oh yeah, I did get a chance to. This is the most amazing part. Back then, you could go sit in the cockpit for takeoff and landing, and I did a lot. Every time I had a chance to go sit in the cockpit, I did.
Dang, bro, yes sir, let's go.
I know, and it's old 7.4 with the flight engineer in there as well.
Yeah.
It was fire.
That's right.
So
that's right.
But then I completely forgot about that. But yeah, that's how
yeah, for sure. I feel that.
That's how my love for aviation came about. Definitely.
Wow. Yeah, so it's just crazy with no flight sim experience or even knowledge at the time. You're just scrolling through YouTube how DCS can look just like the real world. I mean, that's impressive. That just goes to show the talent by the developers of not just DCS, but XPlane, Microsoft, and all other flight sims, because there's a lot out there. And it may not seem like it, but if you really do your research and you do your work on the back end, you can really find some really creative and interesting flight sims in a good way. So I want to ask you a quick follow-up question, because this just came to mind. Do you remember your first ever payware add-on of XPlane? Was it an aircraft, an airport, or just like a just random add-on that you thought was going to be necessity?
Okay. I put it in 2 categories. I do have the first payware, and I have the first good payware. The first payware was a Gulfstream, was it 650? It was a Gulfstream of some sort. It was an X-plane. And that thing was so powerful, I could climb from takeoff up to 41,000 feet in like 3 minutes, and I thought it was the best thing ever. I'm embarrassed to even say that, but I bought that plane. But my first real good add-on in X-plane was the IXEG 737-300 Classic.
I've heard a lot of good things. Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. You still fly that too, right?
Yes, I do. From time to time, I still go in that airplane. It's just nostalgic for me. Because before that, especially on the X-plane side, there was really no good planes start to finish. There were planes out there that had a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but that plane had the sound, it had the looks, and it flew well. And the FMC worked. Yeah, so that was my very first real add-on airplane. That was like, yeah, this is good stuff.
Okay, good to
I
hear.
love that plane. Definitely.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people, especially on Microsoft side, we're kind of going crazy over, like, we want like the 733 or the 734, like the older 73s, you know, not just the new generation, but the old generation of 73s. So that's definitely what I look forward to. Hopefully, we can get the older generation of 73s sometime soon. Now, I'm fine with waiting because just like the list of aircraft in development right now is bonkers, man. We really sparked from Flightsim Expo, seriously. I mean, you were there at a Flightsim Expo. I'm sure you were crazy busy, but I'm sure you definitely have noticed that, like, ever since we were back from FS Expo, a lot of these developers are coming out with their products right now, which is very smart because there's a lot of hype right now. There's a lot of looks. There's great attention right now in flight simulation and flight sim content creators. So I think developers are managing this all really, really well. But what are your opinions? Seriously, do you agree with me or do you not agree with me on there's a lot of hype right now around flight simulation? Ever since we're back from Flightsim Expo, do you think developers are starting to really publish or at least talk a little bit more about their products, or do you not think that?
No. I fully agree. Flightsim Expo once a year is like a shot of adrenaline in the arm of flight sim. Like,
Right,
you know,
for
you
sure.
go through the year, things come, things go, but when you meet everybody at Flight Sim Expo, when you meet all the developers get feedback from the audience, there's a lot of discussions and talking going on. You come home from Flight Sim Expo hyped. You're like, yes,
Yes.
let's go. Let's
Hmm.
get this. We got
So true.
hardware coming out, we got planes coming out, we got software coming out. And so even me, just, you know, as a streamer, I'm hyped from Flight Sim Expo. I want to keep that adrenaline going. You've been there, you've seen it,
Yep.
you know. So yes, you're absolutely right. You're looking forward to the A380 coming out. You saw that. You know, you saw a 707 coming out. You saw what a bunch of different planes that are coming out from Microsoft itself and
Yes.
X-Plane as well.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, absolutely, the hype is real after Expo. There's a high that you have for like the next month, and then afterwards you get back to the real world again.
Right.
But
Yes.
I
So we're
fully
living
agree.
in the month.
That is true. Yeah, you're living in that month right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. It's a good month. I'll
Yeah,
tell you that.
it is definitely a good month.
So
Absolutely.
you got interested in flight simulation 6 years ago, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you also
Definitely.
started your channel 6 years ago, right?
Yes.
There you go. So that leads up to the next question. What motivated you to becoming a flight sim content creator?
I'll tell you. Oh boy, here's a funny one.
Okay.
Laziness. Well, no. Okay, let me go back here. So, when I started flight simming, and I started doing the flying, and I was like, wow, this is actually cool that I'm doing a flight that takes 30 minutes in real life and it takes 30 minutes in the sim, or 1 hour, whatever. And I wanted to make videos of it. I wanted to make videos and show off and spread it to people. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to start making flight sim content. I'm going to make videos. Well, lo and behold, I respect so many creators because I realize that making videos is far harder than you think.
Yeah.
Making good flight sim videos are far harder. You have to spend the time to record it. You have to spend the time to store it. You have to spend the time to edit it, and you have to spend the time to upload it. And that might sound easy. So if you do a 1 hour flight, you're spending 4 hours creating the video to put on YouTube, because from that 1 hour flight, you have to just record it. You got to go back. You got to rewatch it again. You got to cut it up. You got to add music or add other voiceovers or whatever.
Yeah.
And what used to happen to me is that I would be in the middle of the flight and realize that my mic was muted, and everything I was saying and describing about the scenery was,
no.
yeah, exactly. I was like, oh no, wow, that I
Yeah.
screwed up. Let me start again. And so I was like, you know what? Forget it. I used to watch streamers back then on Twitch and some on YouTube, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm gonna just do my flights, and then YouTube will save it. And YouTube have an editor, a basic editor. You can go cut out the bad parts, because if you screw up your landing or you didn't do something right, you can go back and
Right.
cut it out. YouTube would re-render the video for you, and you have it. And so I was all about making videos until I discovered that you could just live stream on YouTube. YouTube will record it for you. I don't have to worry about storage on my computer of all these video files, because video files are large. Let's just go on YouTube and stream. And lo and behold, the first person came to my channel while I was live streaming. I was like, oh, somebody's watching. Are you kidding me? Yeah. You know, and so that's what it is. People started watching, and I started live streaming more and more and more, and I completely forgot about making videos. You know, it took me a long time to make videos again, a very long time. But yeah, I started out wanting to make videos. It never worked out well, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to live stream, and that's how the live stream came about. It wasn't my intention to start with, but that's how it came about.
Dang, so
Absolutely.
basic YouTube editor. That's smart, actually. Just, like, looking back, wow. Dang. Yeah, that's actually really smart, right? Because then you can get more views on the live stream, right? Because that's the only source of content, right? That's essentially your video, just except people can be there and react live and see the uncut product. Okay,
Yeah,
I see that.
exactly.
Yeah. All right. So for the first few years of your content creation, how was it? Good performance, bad performance? Did you enjoy it? How was your first few years as a content creator?
I enjoyed it, but it was a learning curve. I gotta tell every content creator out there, when you start, you're gonna learn and relearn and make mistakes and go back and redo it again and wish you had a second take. Just a lot of things you're gonna wish. However, make sure you're having fun at it. So from the early start, I had a bunch of people around me who made everything fun. So my streams were, for the most part, just having fun, and I'm still having fun today. But the early part was rough. You do need a very good PC first and foremost in order to stream and to stream properly and to make it look good. You have to take into consideration whatever your audience is seeing, because it's entertainment for them. And if whatever they're seeing they don't like, they don't come back and watch your channel. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's a whole bunch of different things. What goes on in the background of a streamer is not just turn on the PC, firing up the sim, and go stream. There's 6 or 7 or 8 other programs in the background that are running at any one time.
Yeah, that's
And
super true.
so you got to manage everything. I have 2 big screens that I use. I have my gaming screen is a 42-inch monitor, and my other screen is another 42-inch monitor that has OBS up, which is what you stream for the broadcast. You have the flight plan up, you have the preview window up of your stream, you have your chat going, you have your vPilot or xPilot to connect to vatsim. So you're monitoring a whole, but you're like a director and the star of the show at the same time.
Yes, that's the perfect way to put it. Yep.
It is. You're directing your own event, and sometimes it goes good and sometimes it does not go good.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I mean, I have a gaming laptop, right, with the 3070. I somehow managed to stream. Now I don't get the frames, but I mean, it's for me personally, it's more about the stutters though right now. I'm waiting until 2024 comes out, and right around that time, right, November 19th, I'm hoping to get a gaming PC that's going to be like stacked up and actually going to be able to not only simulate on 2024 but simulate good with like a good looking game and performance, and on top of that, of course, stream to my community. Because to be honest with you, XP, a few months ago, when the first original trailer came out and there was like some sort of spark and oh my gosh, 2024 is right around the corner. When that first trailer came out and there was hype starting to be built up, I really was going to go to 24 for the content side of things. I wasn't going to do it because I really want to go over to 2024, or I feel like 2024 is going to be all this greatness. I really was going to do it just so I can get the audience to be like, hey, this is 2024, do you like it or do you not like it, and use my live streams, use other people's live streams as well to then, I guess, dictate your purchase, like dictate if you're going to get it or not.
Right.
And so now looking back on that, it was not the best thought, just because 2024 is like killer, and I'm super happy to be a part of this wonderful game that's coming out, or simulator. And so I'm just like super thrilled that 2024 really is right around the corner. And so that's like the perfect way to put it. You are literally dictating your own shit. Like that's really a great way to put it. And I'll definitely have to go back and watch the podcast and keep that in my head and just be like, yes, this is what XP72 said, and that is the perfect way to put it, because I love that, what you just said. And I think a lot of people don't understand, and I'm sure you can relate to this, and hopefully you can agree with me on this. I really think not a lot of people understand how challenging, more or less hard it is to fly your aircraft on the vatsim network while live streaming. I mean, that is a challenge in itself, right? You have to listen out for the controller's instructions if they're online. You have to fly your aircraft. Now, let's say it's like the TFDI MD-11. I don't know anything about that aircraft. How am I going to be able to fly that aircraft on the vatsim network while also live streaming? I mean, you got to keep up with everything in the live chat. Because like you were just saying, people want to be recognized. They come into your chat so then they can get their comments read, and they can be like, hey, XYZ, welcome aboard. They could get their username read, right? And they could be like, oh my gosh, I just got talked to by XP72. We had a great conversation. He's a really great guy, right? That's what people really view the live streams for, that interaction, right? And on top of that, the content itself will speak for itself, right? Because like you were just talking about, you want a good quality live stream that doesn't stutter and that's smooth, and then you also want to learn your aircraft before hopping in and live streaming it so you don't embarrass yourself on stream, right? But going back to what I just stated, right, I think it's really a challenge to fly your aircraft on the vatsim network and then live stream and keep up with chat and the audience. Would you agree to that?
Yes, Yes, yes. It is a acquired skill that you develop over time. It's not going to
Yes.
happen right away, and it can get you in trouble with
Right.
vatsim
It's
because
super
vatsim
true.
requires you to pay attention. And yes, I have gotten to the point sometimes where I'm so wrapped up in chat that my call sign was called and I didn't hear it, and they're like, "You still there?" And so, and this is one of the reasons why people ask me all the time, why is it that I use the same exact call sign? No matter which airliner I'm flying, the call sign is going to be
This is a
2806.
good question. Yeah.
American 2806, United 2806, whatever 2806, because I can hear that number, and literally in the middle of me talking, I can hear my number called and I can respond. This
You
is
know,
why I don't change up my call sign for different routes and different. Why don't you? That's not the real call sign. No, I know it's not the real call sign. I use it because I can remember it. I actually got that
smart.
from a streamer. Another guy who used to stream, his name was Catch Trader, and he used 101. It's like .com 101, United 101, or whatever 101.
Okay.
And because he was always in chat, and so when you hear it subliminally, like, wait a minute, they just call my name. Hold on, let me respond. And so that's the reason why I use a single call sign and never change it. It's easy to remember. Because in the real world, if you ever go into a flight deck, you'll see a sticky notepad with the flight number written and stuck on the cockpit dashboard.
Yep.
You know why?
True.
Because they fly so many flights and they don't remember the call sign either. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It is,
So
for sure.
that's the reason why.
You know what, I honestly might pick up on your ways, XP. I might have to start just using the same call sign over and over again. Here's the thing, what gets me and kind of helps bypass that issue for me. I have Sim Toolkit Pro up, and then I have OBS on my secondary monitor. So most of the time I just have OBS on screen so I can see what the audience is seeing, and I can take a look at the top of my screen and then have Sim Toolkit Pro say, here's my call sign, right? So that helps a lot, right? That helps me, remember it. So when I am about to key up on vatsim, because usually, right, most of the time it's you keying to the controller, you telling them, hey, we're ready for taxi, hey, we're ready for clearance, hey, we're ready for takeoff, most of the time, right? But of course you can get, hey, United 2806, turn left heading 310, without any, notice or anything like that, right? So that's a little bit tricky right there. But for me, when I'm ready to key up to the controller, I just open up OBS real quick so I can see Sim Toolkit Pro on the top, and I can be like, hey, here's my call sign, let's do this.
Yeah, I was saying that is a great way to do that. Find something that worked for you and use that. So that's actually a great way to have the OBS up and have everything so you could see it right away.
Right.
This is cool. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, so topic number 1, that was really good. Great talks right there. So we're going to jump straight into topic number 2. So let's skyrocket. We're going to go over progression. I mean, this is key. This is what a lot of people tune into this podcast for, your progression. So we're going to go from like rock bottom, ground zero, all the way up to being super, super successful with your channel and just having a lot of people just really, really cheer for you, and that's great. So topic number 2, question number 1. How was your very first stream? Now, this might be a little bit of a tricky question, right? Because your first stream was 6 years ago. I don't know if you remember it, but hopefully you can look back and just be like, how was my first stream? And then hopefully you can give us an answer.
My first stream, I think somebody brought this up the other day and found my first stream. My first stream was actually no talking, just me and the airplane. I think it was in Kingston, Jamaica. And all I did was just fly the Zebo 737 in XPlane. I did a takeoff, a circuit, and came back on land. There was no sound. It's just the airplane at all. I had no camera, no microphone. I just did a flight. I just took off, circled around the airport, came back and landed. That was my very first stream. And I think it was like a test stream. That video is probably still up too. Because I remember when the Zebo 737 came out for XPlane, it was like the biggest thing. PMDG 737 was out there for P3D and FSX, and these guys loved it. And we finally got a good 737. And that was my very first stream with no camera and no talking. I don't remember the next one after that, but that was the first live. Yeah, that was the first live. And there was one person watching. I remember one person was watching.
Nice.
Don't ask me how, because there's no thumbnail. There was no prep. Nobody knew who I was, but I had to just put a live stream up to see if it worked. I went back and rewatched it. I was so excited, like wow,
yeah,
my recording is on the internet.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was my first live stream.
There you go. Nice.
Oh.
Not as bad as some people's first live stream. I mean, here's the thing. No camera, no mic. Did you have the game sounds going though?
Oh yeah, the game
Okay,
sounds
there you go.
really loud when I rewatched. Like, whoa,
Okay.
this is loud. Yeah,
Okay.
the game sounds. That's what I had. All you could hear is the airplane, the trim wheel going, and the flaps, and the
Oh,
engine.
that's funny.
You know, and I did a circle, and I came back around. And I think, thinking back on it now, I think that's probably was the smartest thing to do, is to take the pressure off and just fly without having a mic and a camera. It was a short stream. It wasn't long. It's probably like 25 minutes, just to get your feet wet into live streaming and see. Because when you hit the go live button on your OBS and it pops up on the internet and like anybody can watch it in the world, it can be nerve-wracking when you think about it.
Right.
So just to take the stress off, I didn't say anything. I knew, I knew nobody was going to watch, but literally there's one person in chat. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So
impress yourself.
yeah, I impressed. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely, exactly. And then from there, I went on to doing more. I never had a camera in the beginning. It was just me talking, you know.
Right.
Then I realized that I made a very strategic, important decision, and that was do I stick a camera in front of my face and show people what I look like?
Yeah, that's the make or break right there.
Right, because all of us can be like, I don't know if I'm ready for a camera. My hair's not cut. I need to shave.
Yeah.
You know, what T-shirt am I wearing? Does it look good? All this stuff. Do I want to know people know who I am on the internet? You know, do I want to remain anonymous? You know, most streamers do show themselves on camera these days. You know,
Yeah.
back then not everybody did, but I realized that the people who did show themselves got a slightly bigger audience than people who don't. Now, it's not the same now for real world pilots who stream. They have the luxury of don't have to show their faces because of their job, which I completely understand.
Right.
But they still get an audience because they have a lot to teach.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. But for the regular folks like me and you, that would be an advice. If you decide to, it would be a good idea to show your face on camera.
Yeah.
At this point, you know.
I mean,
so
on my channel, when I do stream, I got a face cam, so I've been showing my face ever since February 9th, which was my birthday. So I decided
wow.
February 9th, I'm gonna show my face because that was my birthday. So I did I think it was a members only stream actually. I'm not sure looking back on it. I think it was. I did Key West to Daytona Beach for a vatsim event. I think it was an F&O in Florida.
Mhm.
I flew the fly-by-wire 32NX Spirit over to Daytona Beach, and that was my first time doing a face cam. And ever since, I've been able to change the filters up a little bit, make it a little bit better than it first was, because man, looking back on it, I did not like how my face cam was. But I'm just glad I got myself into it and I stuck with it, and I had the confidence. That's what it's all about. I had the confidence to go into it and be like, hey, let's just do this. It's gonna benefit me at the end of the day. Let's do it. So yeah, I've been showing my face on stream ever since February. So that's huge.
yeah, confidence comes across good to the audience. If you have the confidence when you're streaming, it comes across because they trust you,
Yeah.
that you know what you're doing, and they can follow along and just sit there and be entertained. So yeah, confidence is a big thing.
Right, and it boosts their confidence too, right? Like you were just saying, they like trust you, you know.
Yep. True. Very, very, very true. I like that.
All right,
Yeah.
so we briefly went over how did XP72 like become your YouTube handle. So I want to go over that and really just hit it on the head. Like, let's focus on this because I want to just find out like how did XP72, right? Because we talked a little bit about Chick-fil-A, right? XP7. So how did XP72 come across? Like, how did that become your YouTube handle?
It's a shortening of my full name when I just started. When I just created my YouTube channel, as I said, XPlane was what I started with.
Yeah.
There was no Microsoft. I didn't want to go to P3D because, it just was too expensive to get a P3D. And so my original name, which is so creative, was XPlane 1972. So
Okay.
1972 is my birth year.
Okay.
XPlane was what I was flying at the time. There was no Microsoft Flight Simulator then. And so for a while, my name was XPlane 1972. And somewhere along the line, when I started getting more audience, I'm like, this name is just too long. I don't like it. Plus, I wanted to design a logo, and I shortened it. I just said, you know what? XP72. That's it.
There you go.
XP72. I shortened it from XPlane 1972. If you look at my vatsim ID, either my vatsim ID or my vatsim username, it's still XPlane 1972. That's what it is. That's how my
Oh.
name came about. Uh-huh.
Are you able to
Yeah.
change that, or is that just kind of set in
No,
stone?
that's it. You're locked in. You're
Oh,
locked in. If
gotcha.
sometimes you see me on camera type in my vatsim user ID in a new plane or something, that's what I type.
XP72.
You know,
Or
XPlane
72,
1972.
1972. Yeah, there you go. That's what I
That's
thought.
exactly what I thought.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to. I knew it had something to do with XPlane, and then 72. Yes, the year you were born. There you go. That was nice.
And then people shorten it even more and just say XP. That's it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I respond to XP more than I respond to my real name. No,
Okay.
I know, which is super funny. But yeah,
I mean,
that's how
sometimes
that came about.
it really doesn't have to be creative. I mean, shoot, XP72. That's not really a creative name, but you're getting it done, and you're doing it better than a lot of people, right? So there you go. I mean, that's like great. And it just once again goes back and makes it easier for your audience. Hey XP72, like that's like, you know, for me it's like Airborne with Micah. Every time you try and talk to me, like let's say I go into your live chat and they're like, hey, you know, some people they don't want to type out Airborne with Micah, right? So they just say hey, and then they mention at Micah, and I'm like hey, like so they can shorten it up too, right? So hey, there's pros and cons to everything, and that's that's where it's at right there. XP72. Cool. Thank you for answering that question, because I feel like a lot of people out there who haven't got the chance to talk to you are like wondering, XP72, what how did that come to life? And there you go.
Right.
Just answered it.
True. Yeah, it was destined to be that name. It's
Right.
funny.
There you go. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
So at the end of your first year of streaming, how many people did you have watching?
At the end of the first year, I gotta think back here to see how much. I think it was less than 1,000, because I remember the 1,000 mark is the hardest to get your first 1,000, right? But I was building up. I think I was at, you know what? Let me think about that for a second. It was either at 1,000 or close to 1,000 the first year.
Yeah.
Because I remember just grinding it out hard to get that first 1,000 out of the way. Once I started watching, and then there was 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, 30 people watching, got stuck at about 30 watching for a very long time, but I still kept streaming. But I want to say at the end of the first year was about 1,000 people who started watching, 1,000 subs that I had, you know, and that was a huge milestone, huge milestone, very huge. Yeah, it was about 1,000 if I remember correctly. That was very big.
Yeah, 1,000 is the tricky one for sure.
That is a tricky one, definitely the tricky one there. And then
yeah. So 1,000, man, that's after 1 year. I mean, that's impressive. Seriously, 1,000 views after a year. I mean, that's good stuff. And I'm sure by the end of that year, you can definitely say you're putting out some good quality live streams.
I don't know about quality.
Really?
No,
Wow.
It's not. As I said, all my computers leading up to that point were.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
Terrible.
You talked about,
but I still kept trying. You know.
Yes.
Okay. For instance, if you go back and look at my camera that I was using for my face cam, it was literally like a potato. The quality was so bad, and what it was, the webcam that I had was a P3i from Nintendo. It was a Super Nintendo camera. It wasn't meant for like a PC, and I found a software to make it work, but it was like 1K. It's just bad.
All right.
It was just bad, you know. But this is the thing, right? If you can afford all the gear and all the hardware and all the best PC and the best camera, it still does not guarantee you that you are going to have an audience and great stream.
That's super
It doesn't guarantee that whatsoever.
Yeah. No.
And so, you know, I think it taught me a lot to improvise and to make sure everything else was okay, since I know I didn't have the best looking stream.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. That's super fair.
Yeah, I didn't have the best looking stream, so I was like, you know what, let me just work at what I have. You know, I didn't want to go out and spend a ton of money and buy hardware and software and stuff like that. I just wanted to make the best of what I had. So now, you know, so if you guys are out there thinking about getting to streaming and go, you know, I don't have the best and I'm gonna wait, no, you can make what you have work. Yeah. I think it's just your personality that comes across more than anything else, which is what I'm learning now. I didn't know that back then. You know, I was just like, man, my stream was stuttering all the time. I'll give you a little insight also. All right, check this out. You know how I stream and I have my logo in the top center, my XP logo?
Yeah.
All right, do you know where that came from?
No, I don't.
All right, so here's where it came from. XPlane has a way of, if your frames drop below 19 FPS, the simulator starts to slow down. So let's say you're doing a 30-minute flight. If you're doing a 30-minute flight with your frames below 19 FPS, that 30-minute flight becomes 45 minutes. It literally slows the sim time down. Yes, it does. Also, vatsim will disconnect you.
Yes,
on XPlane, right? Because your frames are low. I found a program called FPS booster or something like that. So what it did was it saw that when your FPS drops on your stream on your computer, it speeds up the time to match real time. But that program was pretty cool. So if you have low FPS below 19, it will chip in and start speeding up the sim for you automatically, right? But it had it had this flashing 2 times flash on the screen right in that area where my logo was. Didn't have a logo at the time. So now you're watching the stream, you're like, why is here 2 times flashing on your stream all the time? What is that about? And it was because I wanted for it to keep the time.
Right.
And one of my audience members goes, why don't you just put a black bar over that? It's distracting. I was like, yes. So I put a black bar up through OBS over that flashing number so you wouldn't see it. The black bar was there all the time. Then I got the idea, goes, you know what? That black bar looks ugly. Let me put my logo over it. So I quickly designed a logo, and the logo was like my airline that I work for. The you know those little wings that they give you, the little plastic wing.
Yeah.
I put that, I took a picture of that and put it up over where that flashing number was, and that stayed there for a while. And then I got a better computer. I kept the logo because I liked it. The flashing went away, but now it's like, you know what? I need a decent logo. That logo looks terrible. And so I sat down and designed my logo on a piece of napkin at work. Like, seriously, I still have that napkin.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's where my logo come from, the center of the screen. It was out of necessity. It wasn't because it's like I want my logo up. It's like it was supposed to hide and cover up the frame problems I was having. So yeah.
And so I'm guessing the plastic wings had an influence on your logo right now that you still have on your channel.
Yes. I like wings. Yeah, I like the U.S. Air Force wings. How that looks.
I agree with you. Yeah, I like that.
Yes, it's kind of sort of like that. It's like a take on the U.S. Air Force logo. You know,
fair enough.
Futuristic wings. Yeah, so that's what it is.
Yeah. And so that has done it for topic number 2. So just like, once again, just great, wonderful questions there. And so we're going to go ahead and get into topic number 3. Topic number 3 is going to be all about flight sim, because we're here in flight sim, right? So let's talk about flight sim. So this is going to be the longest topic, but we're going to go over some good stuff. And this is just going to be a great way to end our podcast today. So topic number 3, flight sim. First question is going to be, what are the pros and cons of being a flight sim content creator? And as you've heard from me today, this call that we've been in, I have talked about, I think there's pros and cons to almost, if not everything. So what are the pros and cons to becoming or being a flight sim content creator?
Pros and cons. Let me start with the cons, because there was a con to it. And for me personally, it's time. Having a full-time job, having a family, having a wife and children, you spend time at work and then you come home and you spend time in front of the computer. And when you sit down to do a stream, it's a minimum of 3 hours. Plus, depending on your flight time. And this is the reason why my flight times are usually anywhere between an hour and 2 hours, no more than that, on a weekday. Because if your flight is 1 hour, your stream is going to be 2 hours. It's 30 minutes to set up, taxi takeoff is 30 minutes to finish the flight. You know what I mean? At the end, and do your replays and stuff. So, for me, the biggest drawback for content creation and streaming is time. Time spent with the family and with the loved ones. And so, for a long time ago, I developed a schedule where it's going to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at this particular time. Usually it starts at like 2 hours after I leave work. Give me an hour to get home, whatever, get ready, eat dinner, shower, and then to set up to start the stream. And so the drawback is that you realize you spend a lot of time sitting in front of this computer right here. And you got to be careful that you don't ignore your family or your loved ones, whoever it is you live with, or, you know, and so forth. And so that's a drawback. Sometimes, you know, I'm coming from work and it's like, man, I'm so tired, or our work runs late and I have a stream scheduled and I have to make the announcement, say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't stream, or I'm pushing my stream an hour later because that was worst feeling. Exactly. You promise people that you're going to be on at this time. People are looking forward to it and you don't show up. But you got to keep in communication with people on that. So that would be the main drawback of streaming, to be honest.
Right. And here's the thing, like, especially when you start, you know, new, like when you're new on the platform, every stream in my eyes has the potential to just blow up. You don't know. You don't know. It can be some random flight to, you know, Timbuktu, you know, somewhere in Idaho, you know, you don't know. So it's just like every stream has the potential to, you know, get that 1,000 viewers or get that 50 concurrent in your live stream. You don't know. And so having to be like, hey, I can't show up today really stings, because that could have been the stream, you know. So that I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the con. Now, you asked about the pros as well, right?
Yep, I did. Yeah.
Pros of streaming. you get to share the hobby that you enjoy with other people, you know, especially when you have a bunch of people flying with you, you know. They're, the Congo line, aka, this is the Congo line. And you having the audience there watching you and having people fly with you is a privilege every single time that you don't take for granted, but you absolutely enjoy that. Yeah, I cannot fly by myself anymore. The only time I ever do like a flight by myself is when I get a brand new plane that I'm not too sure about how to handle it. I'll set up a quick 30-minute flight, then I'll just take it out, do a quick cold and dark startup setup, go take a quick flight, and get prepared to stream that plane. That's the only time
I'm right there with you, XP. I'm right there with you. I can't. Every flight I do is going to be a live stream or a video.
Yeah, it is very hard to fly by myself now. So yeah, the community aspect of it is having people to share your flight with is a huge deal, and I love that. That is a major pro. Yeah, that is a major pro.
Yeah.
And also go ahead.
Like the community is everything, right? The community is literally everything. And on the last question of topic number 2, right? It's not really skill, right? You don't need to be the most professional. You don't need to be the best at your comms. You don't need to know how to land your aircraft the best. It's all about personality, like you stated, entertainment, and giving the viewers a enjoyable experience on your channel. You don't need to, land your aircraft at, 82 feet per minute every time, or you don't need to be the most realistic, right? Because people might not want that. People might not want like dead silence in the flight deck, and people might not want just a realistic like acting like you're a real pilot sometimes like that. I mean, that's why we all get into flight simulation, right? Because we want to do this. For me, it's doing this at a younger age, right? I'm not like able to hop inside a flight deck of a 737 right now. I mean, that's going to take a little bit of time, right? And I'm starting my discovery flight next month, so like I'm doing flight simulation right now just so I can start at a younger age and then go ahead and work my way through, hopefully, and get myself up to the airlines. Now that's the hope. And if that doesn't work, then I got a few drawbacks, such as maybe content creating, and I start really digging deep with content creation. But I'm really using this channel right now to get myself familiar with the aviation industry and get myself with like connections. Like my uncle's the chief pilot at LAX for Southwest right now, so like I'm just trying to really like just lay my foot in the flight sim industry, and then of course use that to hopefully get some connections within aviation itself, so then when I do want to become an airline pilot, I have some people that are willing to help. Like and you're someone that helps around like the flight sim industry, and people need that. A lot of people need that guidance, that help, that handout, and so you are like just like you're doing for me today. You're really helping out and supporting, and I appreciate that from you. But really, it goes back to not being the best at what you do, but just being an entertainer, because that's what we are. We're entertainers, right? But we just have flight sim as the hobby that we're streaming. So I would say it's all about the entertainment and the experience that you put together on your channel. Would you agree? Would you back that up?
So yeah, I'm gonna address both of those. 2 things. 1, congratulations on choosing an airline career, and I believe personally that you're flying on the flight sim and doing vatsim and all that stuff is going to set you up to get actually a good airline career and be proficient at what you do.
Right. That's what
because yes, I've done a couple of real world flights in a Cessna. That's it. Discovery flights, and each time the instructor was like shocked, like, radio calls. You understand what's going on. It also you're conditioning yourself to be able to multitask in terms of being able to handle everything that's coming at you, because people don't realize the pressure of 1, flying. 2, flying online. 3, flying online with an audience and have to monitor chat, monitor ATC, and fly the plane. Those 3 things are pressure that you're actually getting used to, so that when you get into real world flying, you'll have the basics out of the way, and all you have to do now is concentrating on getting the proper skills and learning the proper ways, right? So that's for real world, and I think it will benefit you, and I think you'll do great as a real world aviator, just because you have a flight sim background that will help. Now, you might have to unlearn some nasty habits you were doing in flight simming, but I'm sure you'll be able to do that. On the content creator side of it, we're not real world pilots. There's real world pilots who do content creation that people watch to learn from, and those guys have the pressure of making sure they do it right all the time, because they're real pilots. We have the benefit of screwing up and nothing comes out of it, because I'm just a simmer. I'm just a flight simmer, you know what I mean? And yes, it is okay. All right, none of us wants to have a bad landing when you stream.
No,
we don't. It happens sometimes because of whatever reason. And it's entertaining for a lot of people. They're like, they laugh, they make fun, don't take it personal. It is what it is. Because they're real people too. And they screw up as well. So it's good to see that your favorite creator can screw up from time to time. He's not Mr. Perfect. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they do want you to know what you're doing, right? But they will forgive you if you screw up, and it makes for fun. You can't be Mr. Perfect all the time when content creating. Don't beat up yourself. Come back next time, laugh about it, do better, and then and move on. So those are the two things. I think flight simming will help you in the real world, just a notch above somebody who's never done flight simming before, because you're able to understand certain things right off the bat, phraseologies, just different things about airplane. You know what I mean? And then you just have to learn how to actually fly a real airplane physically, and so forth.
Right. Yeah.
But on the content creator side, of course, don't take it too seriously. You can make fun of yourself. Make fun of yourself. It's better than trying to be like, hey, I'm all Mr. Perfect and I know what I'm doing. You're not a real world pilot. Stop.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I agree.
And I think like
I absolutely agree.
that leverage of flight simulation really, I hope it will help. Like going against like someone who's just focused on aviation itself, not just flight simulation. Like I'm 14, I got into flight simulation 3 years ago. I flew on XPlane. I thought the 737 that comes with the game by what is it? Laminar Research, right? Is that right?
Laminar. Yeah, Laminar Research.
Laminar Research, yeah. And I thought that 7.3 was like the best in the business, man. I thought that was the greatest aircraft. Now, as you stated, there's a difference between my first and the best add-on, right? So, of course, that wasn't an add-on, but that was just the aircraft I flew at the time. I thought that was the greatest aircraft. It sure wasn't, right? But hey, it got the job done for me at the time. Now, I think, and like I just stated, right, I just hope that just me being here in the flight sim industry, having some knowledge when it comes to flight simming can give me that upper hand, that leverage against someone who's just dedicated to aviation itself, getting into the airline industry. Hopefully I can have the upper hand and the leverage on the comms, and I can know my way around better than the person who's just getting into aviation for the first time.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not a real world pilot. What do I know? But I do know that when I did my first ever discovery flight, it wasn't overwhelming at all. I didn't do the landing, but they allowed me to do the takeoff. Some of the taxi, I taxied and I took off. And I knew not to yank back on the yoke, just to gently pull it back and feel the airplane go up. I knew how to read the vertical speed indicator, the attitude indicator, the directions. I could listen to the radio because we flew through a Class Bravo. We were requested to fly through a Class Bravo. And I knew exactly what was going on. I was not lost. I knew how to trim the airplane. I knew how to maintain altitude. This all came from flight simming. This all came from flight simming. I have a shot of me flying down the beach at 500 feet off the ground. And it was beautiful to be able to do that,
Nice.
And that is just me straight out of doing flight simming for years, Now, that's not me getting my PPL. It's just me handling the airplane. So I think for you, it's going to be good. You're going to be ahead of the game. I think so.
Thank you. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
definitely.
So, I'm going to go to 2 questions ahead. I'm going to go straight to what was your most memorable stream and why? And I think this, for a lot of people, is their very first stream. But for you, what has been like the biggest stream for you that you can look back on and really be proud of?
That's actually a tough question. I've done so many streams,
Right.
and each time I walk away from a stream and chat says, "Good stream, man, good stream,"
Yeah, that helps.
I think what's my best stream? That's tough to say. Okay, so here's streams that stand out to me when it's a brand new airplane, and I accomplish a landing, very first landing in a brand new airplane, like the 777. The PMD 777 that just came out. That was like, okay, let's get this out the way. I don't know this plane, I've never flown it before. Let me go do a takeoff landing on this. That's big. Also if there's a new scenery. But approaches, or like the lowy approach, circle to land approaches, those are big because if you screw that up, you will not hear the end of it. They will remind you, the audience will remind you every single day that you screwed that one up. There's that. But big streams, it's tough to say. It's tough to say because I've had so many different scenarios. I've had streams on VATSIMs where I've taxied underground for an hour and a half just to get off the ground. I've had, a Congo line with 30 people flying along with me to some destination in the Caribbean. I've had brand new airplanes come out and I was one of the first people to fly it, and there's like 600 people watching.
Yeah.
And you try not to get nervous because there's so many eyes on you, and you hope you don't screw it up.
You gotta stay calm and focused.
Yeah. So I'm sorry I don't have an answer as far as the most memorable one, but there's so many different moments in different streams that are memorable to me.
No,
One of these days
I'm
I'll
right
figure
there
out,
with you.
but that's what it is. That's how I would answer that question.
Right. I mean, there's like so many answers, so it's not like you're wrong for saying like this, that, the other. Like you just did a great answer right there by just pointing out like all of like some of your best, not just the best, but some of your best strengths, right? Like the hard approaches and the new aircrafts. Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you for answering that question, because that's a challenging question. That really is, right? Because there's so many answers that you gotta like feel it's like so like hard to answer because of the options, right? So thank you for answering that, because that's a question that not a lot of people actually surprisingly like to answer, just because it is challenging. So what is so important about the vatsim network? Now this is something that when I talked about, you know, hopefully taking my discovery flight and hopefully being an airline pilot one day, you said it was going to help, and I've got that same advice by a real world airline pilot. Now I thank you for that advice, and it really is a confidence booster and it helps a lot. And so what would you say is so important about the vatsim network? Would you say it's the connection with the vatsim community? Would you say it helps benefit you when flying real aircraft? What would you say the biggest benefit, and what's so important about the vatsim network?
The biggest benefit is the human interaction. And let me start here. So there are two programs out now that gives you ATC through AI, and they're very good. One's called Say Intentions, and the other one is called
Beyond ATC.
Beyond ATC. They're very good.
Yeah.
But what's missing for me is the human voice inflection, where a controller is calm or a controller gets upset or you didn't hear what they say properly. You have to ask for a read back of what they said. You feel bad. You get taxi instructions that you have to ask a second time and write down. These are the, okay, I listen to Live ATC, which is Live ATC, Air Traffic Control in America.
Yeah, I listen
and
to.
You hear so many different things. The comms are not perfect.
No, they're not.
At all, so you have to listen keenly and get clarification. And vatsim is exactly like that, I find, especially in a busy event where you're coming in on the approach, or you're coming into the terminal area, and you have to contact approach, and approach is trying to coordinate 50 airplanes, and they're trying to sequence everybody with speed. So it's like turn heading this altitude, turn right this altitude, this speed, 180 until 5 DME, things like that. It's a lot of information. And so if you can master that on vatsim, somehow I think the real world is probably simpler than that. I've seen vatsim get crazy. So it's like, it's pressure. It's like sometimes you got to like, chat, I'm not going to look at you right now. I have to listen up. I'm coming into JFK and there's 1,000 airplanes coming in. Let me so concentrate. Exactly. You've been there. I've heard your voice. You got to be listening everybody right on point. And I think that should translate over to real world as far as listening to the comms and knowing what to respond to, knowing what to expect. Because when I did that first discovery flight, we had Palm Beach approach up, and they were just coordinating us, and I understood everything that this guy was saying.
There you go.
You know, I'm like, okay, there we go. This is good. This is all vatsim. If it wasn't for vatsim, I wouldn't know. I would be just lost. Like, what is he talking about? Turn left, descend, you know.
What?
And that's the importance of vatsim. You cannot beat that human interaction in vatsim. If the controller is tired, if he's busy, if the comms are, you know, bad, if people are stepping over each other, all that stuff comes into play.
And that's something that's like quite. I mean, I'm not an instructor myself, right? I'm not a CFI. Maybe if a CFI was watching, like, I wonder, like, if I could just ask, like, is it hard to really teach that? Like, is the comms like that? Me thinking right now, I mean, that's a hard thing to teach. That most of the time can't be teach, you know? It's just like you adapt. Like, I really don't remember being taught vatsim. I mean, I watched a video, but I really hopped on and I listened and I adapted, right? I just made the adjustment. I was able to, you know, listen and understand, and that's like, thank God, right? Like, but at the end of the day, like, that's just something like I've been able to adapt to. I haven't really been taught. So I mean, I don't know if you've been taught, but like for me, just looking back, because I'm a little bit newer to vatsim than you, right? So I'm sure you've been on vatsim, right, for 6 years now, so it'd be hard to really think back and look back and be like, what was my like thought process? What was my outlook on vatsim 5 years ago, right? But for me, it's like I don't really remember being taught. I just remember watching a video and then being able to adapt quickly, and so that's just been a big help. And then another thing is like the traffic, like when you're on Beyond ATC, and what's the other program called?
Say Intentions.
Say Intentions, yeah, Say Intentions. There is no other traffic. It is you and the AI. You can't hear. I mean, maybe there is. I'm not familiar with those programs, but for me, from the very little I've seen, there is no other traffic on the frequency. It is literally you and then the controller. There's no other traffic. There's no other talking to. So I think it honestly, like the embarrassment and the say again, that gets the heart bumping, and we like that sometimes. Like,
Yeah,
that's like the
yeah,
adrenaline that we like, and that
yeah.
that messing up feeling. Yes, it's not good, right? But that's something that like can almost make vatsim more enjoyable for some. So yeah, I completely agree with
And
you.
the last good thing about vatsim is being able to fly with your friends.
Yes, yes.
Being able to fly with your friends, and just do a group flight together. You
Right.
did share the destination, share the approach, share the arrival, and watch each other land. That's also a great benefit to it as well.
Right, and then
So
compare landings, right? It's like, hey, what
compare
did you
landing.
get? Yeah,
Exactly. So yeah, that's the benefit of vatsim for me. I love the vatsim network.
for sure.
Absolutely do.
Hit it on the head right there. So speaking of like landings and hard approaches, what's your favorite flight sim destination? What is the like? I think for me, it's all about the approaches, like the landing. That's the best part. That's what everybody watches your streams for. They want to see you butter it into Innsbruck or Gibraltar, or Madeira, any other like really hard approach. Like, so in your opinion, what is your best or what is your favorite destination or approach that you've ever flown?
Ooh, that's another tough one as far as what is my most memorable stream. Um, okay, so if I come from work and I'm tired, I don't want an easy stream. I just pick an easy airport like
Yeah,
Atlanta. Like
right.
Atlanta, it's a straight and final. There's
Yeah,
not much to it. You get on the autopilot, disconnect in 500 feet, you're
yeah,
good.
yeah.
If I want some challenge, I go to San Diego. That is
Mm,
a steep approach, and you have to nail that every single time, or else you're either going to go around or run off the runway, right? And that's in America. Now you want challenge Innsbruck, definitely Lowy or Madeira,
right.
Funchal, or needless I say, you get to go to what's that one called up in the mountains, the Kathmandu. I
Oh,
forgot. Paro.
para.
You know,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, Paro. So it depends on what I'm looking for. It depends, if I'm flying a brand new plane, I'm going to take an easy approach all the time. I'm not going to combine a brand new plane with a hard approach. Don't do
That's
it.
recipe for
You'll screw-
disaster.
That's a recipe for disaster, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it all depends on what you want and what you're looking for.
Yeah, fair, fair.
So, but yeah, San Diego is challenging because there's no ILS. It's a VOR or RNAV approach, and you have to be on your game. Else you end up too high, too fast, and you got to go around. I've done
That's
3 go arounds in San Diego one time on a stream,
Yes,
and
I
it's a 7
actually
seat.
my first time watching you was you were flying the retro American livery. I think it was in the X-plane 737 800. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Zebo 738. Old American, like the silver one, the
Right.
silver with the red and blue going through it. And so that was my first ever stream that I watched you. You were into San Diego, and I remember you mentioned you were like, I can never nail this approach. Like, I can never get it. And I'm like, I feel you, XP. Like, I'm always high, and I don't know what it
Hmm.
is. Like, I start my descent early, yet somehow I always end up high and fast. And that is the one thing you could not do in San Diego because of that steep rate of descent there on final, right? You got to go over that little neighborhood, right? The little hill right
Yep.
there. And so that is something you cannot do. You cannot come in fast, and you sure can't come in high because of the rate of descent on like final approach. And so I'm like, yes, XP, like I can relate.
Yeah. Or I love the river visual in DC.
There's another good
Um,
one. Yeah.
that's a hard one to conquer. I have landed there without gear before. I've gone around it tons of times. I've had an engine stuck on me on landing. I had to go around again.
Oh
You know.
no.
Oh yeah, it has happened. It's like my nemesis. The river visual, and also the Parkway visual in New York. I know it's called something different now, but
Oh,
the
the
coming into
RNAV
LaGuardia are
3-1.
the 3-1, 3-1.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. That's the one. Those are as well tough to do.
Right. Yeah.
So it's quite a few approaches that you can do. That's just in the U.S. There's other countries that are hard, challenging, but rewarding when you get it right. You're
Yeah.
like, yes. You get that
Yeah.
right. You're like, yeah,
Right.
that's good.
That's a
You
great
know,
feeling.
that's definitely a great feeling. So those are the ones, man. Those are the pros and cons of the different airports that you can fly into and have challenges and so forth. But it's worth it. It's all worth it.
Yeah,
You know.
and most of the time you get rewarded for those challenge. Like when you execute
Yeah.
like a good approach at a peril, like you're gonna get like a lot of people watching you. Like people tune in for that stuff. Whether they
Yeah.
tune in to watch you mess up or not, I don't know. But hey, they tune in, and that's helping us content creators, right? So
It's funny.
yeah.
You asking me, I remember a stream I did. It was the Tolless A320, A319 or 21
Okay.
into Detroit. And it was my first time auto landing on stream. The weather, the minimums were like 100 feet or
Dude,
something. It was
I always
crazy.
get bad weather to Detroit. I don't know what it is.
And yeah, we made the plane auto land, and it was dead center line. Visibility was like nothing. RVR was like 50 feet.
Wow.
We landed, man, and I was sweating the entire time, like literal sweat. going, we're going to crash, because he couldn't see anything. And that was a memorable one as well. Going down to minimums and let the auto land do it. One of the few times I've ever used auto land on stream. Usually I try to land it myself. So, yeah.
And that's a good backup, you know, just in case you're not feeling good that day, like whether it's like I'm just not ready to do this approach or not, like that's good. Like that's like, hey, I can you know, sit back and I can go back and I can know like this aircraft can auto land properly. Like that's good. That's something that a lot of people need sometimes.
True. Very, very, very true. So, yeah.
So
but yeah,
we kind of answered like the next question as well. Like, what is the hardest approach you've ever flown, right? I mean, you named a few. I don't think like you can like really pinpoint. And that's another just broad question, right? So I don't know if you can pinpoint one, but I think we kind of went over that right now, right? I mean, unless you can.
Yeah, those seems to be the ones. I really have to concentrate on the river visual, the Parkway visual in New York, DC, San Diego, definitely, and Lowy, circle to land. You know, those are the ones. You know, there's harder approaches out there, I'm pretty sure, but those are the ones I go to frequently on stream, and it requires your utmost attention, you know, to get those right.
It can get so fast, right? And that's the worst, man. Like getting just like so caught up in everything that's going on, and just like you need to slow the moment down. You need to focus up. You need to like just like be here and absorb it, right? You can't like just go at 1,000 miles per hour.
No, you definitely can't. You're going to be in trouble really quick, you know. Yeah. And as much as you guys think it's fun to go around, it's not. You're like, no, I got to set up for this approach all over again.
Right.
I got to
get 10 extra minutes of flying.
Exactly. Especially if you wanted to get off, you know, to go take care of something. But
some days it'd be like that.
Exactly. True.
All right. This question has to be the best question, and I saved it for last because why not? What are your current channel goals? I mean, man, you have achieved a lot in the last 6 years, and man, am I just really happy for you, truly. Like, I really mean that. Like, your channel is like great, and it really is helpful for someone like me, and I'm sure it's super helpful for others as well to just look at your channel as an influence to be one day hopefully become just as good as your channel and your community is, because seriously, your community is the best of the best in my opinion. You guys just come out, hang out every single day, and it's like, how cool is that? Man, that's really cool. So what are your current channel goals? What do you want in the next, I would say, year? Like let's say by flightsim 2024. That's a good like marker. What do you want for your channel? What is a certain goal, or what is an achievement that you want to get or receive or achieve by flightsim not flightsim Expo, but flightsim, Microsoft flightsim 2024?
You know, it's funny you ask, because I'm thinking about it now as you're asking the question. My channel goals used to be like, I want to gain 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 15,000, 30,000, 35,000, 50,000, 100,000 subscribers. That usually was my channel goal.
Right.
That's no longer my channel goal. My channel goal is to continue to put out content on a regular basis and be entertaining to my audience.
There you go. I mean, that's the game changer right there.
I want to continue to put out good content. That's it. Right. I want to continue to stream and have fun. Have a very good audience set here. And, you know, you have to think about it as a creator, because you know why? I'm hitting that mark where my peers that I saw streaming when I came into the game are no longer streaming. Then I asked myself, why did they leave? Why did they stop at the height of their streaming careers? There's a few names I could call, I won't say it, but they stopped streaming. Like, these guys I used to watch all the time when I wasn't a streamer. What happened to them? Did they fall out of love with flight simming? Did life take a toll? Did real life kick in and they had to, you know, pay attention to something else? What is it? What happened to these guys? And so I'm always mindful that, am I having fun? Am I spending the right amount of time on stream? Am I paying attention to my life and my family?
Right, and you gotta get that fine balance.
I gotta get, there you go. You gotta get that balance. So my continued goal is to continue to make good content, continue to have a balance, and continue to enjoy myself. That's it. Simple goal. I'm not going like, I need 100,000 or 1,000,000 subs, you know? Right. Yeah, don't do that to yourself.
Because then that's when you fall off.
That's when you fall off, because you're going to be disappointed, you know, because it's funny. Sub count does not always mean you have 1 million people watching you.
No, it doesn't.
If you notice, it doesn't. Yeah. You understand? Sub count is just one marker in where you are and what you're doing. There's other things to it, but at the end of the day, maintain yourself and your streaming and have fun. I'm gonna keep saying it. If you're not having fun, if you're not waking up in the morning going, man, I want to go fly right now. Let me see how much time I have. You know, can I get a flight in right now? Can I get a stream in? Yeah, you're gonna be losing it. So
Because if
that's
not, and you're flying because like you feel like you're forced to, you're gonna get burnt out.
yes, you are gonna get burnt out, and burning out is a real thing. It is a
Yeah.
real thing. It can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
That is true. So that's my goal. My goal is to continue to have fun and entertain my audience
A great answer.
on a consistent basis. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Alrighty, well, XP, man, has it been a good podcast. Hour and 15 flew by when we're having fun, right? We've really put together a good quality podcast today. I hope the viewers have enjoyed this podcast just as much as I've enjoyed asking you. And thank you so much for this opportunity, XP. I mean, it's someone with 35, close to 36,000 subscribers on YouTube right now, and then the flight sim industry, man, that is a lot. So thank you so much for coming out here and just giving me this opportunity to talk to you. And man, like it just goes to show, like, you're human. Like you are able to take time out of your really busy schedule of streaming, and then also I thought content creation was your job, but finding out that you actually have a job besides content creation is probably for me it's like surprising, but like in the best way possible. I mean, like, wow, you're able to manage so much at once. Like, that is an oppressive like task and talent. So thank you so much for coming out and just talking with me for the hour and 15 minutes that we've talked to. And I'm just super excited to support you and your channel going on. Like, I'm not gonna just stop talking to you after this. Like, you are just a great person, great content creator. I'm super happy to be able to fly with you on the vatsim network, view your channel as influence and inspiration. And so thank you so much for also being able to talk with me at FS Expo. That was really cool, and that got my heart beating. And I'm like, no way, I'm talking to XP72 right now. That's so cool. And I thank you for all the compliments you give me and my channel. I really do appreciate you. Really respectful from you. So if you got any last words, go for it right now. And just thank you for your time once again, man. It's been great talking to you.
No, thank you for the invitation. I actually enjoyed this conversation here. Wow, it's only been over an hour already.
Right.
This is a good conversation. I love seeing a youngster like yourself continuing the flight sim traditions,
Yes,
and
sir.
also going into real world aviation. I love seeing that. That means that
Thank
flight
you.
simming is going to live on for a long time. Keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing, and you're very sharp on the radio whenever I hear you fly. So I appreciate
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
Have
thank
a
you.
great day. Take care. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right. See you. Thank you, friends, for watching to the very end. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button and comment below your favorite question. I really do appreciate all of my airborne aviator holders. Until I see you guys again, keep those wings level, remain airborne in the skies, and I hope to catch you guys all in my next live. Until then, good day, friends.